guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be using some products from Picket Fence. This is the Iconic Beauty Scarlet stamp set. I'm just using the sentiments there, and then I'm using the Blooming Iris and the Swirly Heart stencil. We are going to be using these stencils to fake a no-line watercolor look. So this should look like we watercolored this with just freehand. And instead we're using stencils to achieve that look. It's super simple. So for my stencils, this is not something that you have to do. And especially with these ones, they're not too finicky. You could just tape them down, but I choose to put repositionable adhesive on the back of mine so I don't have to tape them down. One thing to note is it does dry permanent if it's wet, so you have to let it dry to the touch and then it will be tacky. And then as you saw, I like to tap my hands across it just to make sure it's not too sticky. And then these stencils have a guide on them so that you can line up your paper directly on the stencil so that it'll be centered, which is super helpful. We're going to be faking this with Distress ink. Now you could also use Distress oxides or any other water reactive type inks. That's an important note because if you don't have ink that will react with water, this will not work for you. So I'm just going to start by putting down some colors. I chose a rainbow of colors. I'm sure you're all shocked if you watch my videos that I would choose to do a rainbow. But I just thought that it would be pretty and it would give us a lot of color variation, which you also know if you watch my videos, I'm a big fan of. So I'm just using my ink blending tools. This one is a lot simpler to do because you can make this any color that you want. It's just a general design. So any stamp that you or stencil that you have, it's just a general design that you just want to like play around with this, give this a try. The irises are a little bit more involved, and that's why I chose to do them second after I show you the technique one time. Here you can see that when I'm doing my distress inking, I always go back over the previous color. So like here I put my green down, and now I'm going to go back in with my yellow. This I just feel like gives me a better blend, but it's not something that you have to do because we are going to be moving it around with water. It's not going to matter so much how good your blend is. So now here, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the stencil. The image is beautiful as it is. There's no reason why you couldn't use it this way. This is just another way to kind of step up what your stenciled images can do and get more for your money. With the irises, because it is a little bit more specific of an image, you're going to see that I'm using smaller ink blending brushes. So these ones are actually from Rabbit Hole Designs, and they're the bitty blending brush. If you do not have smaller brushes and you're not interested in picking them up, totally fine. You'll see when I do the purple portion of the iris, I use a regular size foam brush. I just use the side of it. So I don't put the full circle of the foam brush on the paper. I'm just using the side of it to add color because again, we're going to be adding water to this. It doesn't really matter how good your blend is. That's just, you just need to get the color on there. Another way that you could do this, and you'll see that I do it with the stems, is with masking. So when it comes to the stems, I do have a smaller green brush that I can use, but I wanted to show you how to do it if you don't have those tools. Because like I said, I totally understand everybody's on a budget. We all want to use what we have. So here I'm going in and adding the purple, and in the parts that are closest to the stems where I don't want to get the purple, I am just hitting it with the side of the ink blending tool. If you get color where you don't want it, and I did, I 100% did, but I'm also going to tell you how to fix it because you know that's how I roll. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to put clean water where I got the pigment that I don't want. Once I add the clean water, I'm going to blot it up with a clean paper towel. Now you want to make sure that you're kind of moving around the area where you're blotting, because if you don't, you could put color back down off of your paper towel. But as long as you're using a clean area every time, Distress inks lift pretty well. You would have to test with each of the water reactive inks, whatever you're using, if you're not using Distress inks or Distress oxides, but these do lift fairly well. Now I'm going to have all of my masks in place. I just cut them and masked off the flower portion, so that way it would be super easy for me to just go in and haphazardly add my green distress ink down. And this is something, again, that you could have done in the beginning where, you masked off the stem portions to ink the irises. But I chose to just risk it so that way you guys could see that even if you don't have all the tools, or you don't have all the things, or even if you do and you make a mistake, there's totally a way to fix it. Don't start over. You know how I feel about that. So yeah, it is Father's Day weekend, and I am running a huge risk doing this voiceover because Eric is sleeping. It's Father's Day, while we're celebrating on Saturday. So this is his day to sleep in. So I got up with Caitlin this morning at 6:45, and she is napping, and my child doesn't like to nap. So fingers crossed that she will allow me to get through this entire voiceover while she's sleeping. Pray for me, y'all. So here, I just wanted to add a little bit more darkness of color, and so I went in with the Dusty Concord just on the edges, and now I'm going to go ahead and remove the stencil again. These are beautiful as they are. You have no reason that you need to manipulate them. But if you are looking to stretch your supplies, this is just another look you can get. This is a adhesive eraser. I'm going in there to just remove any of the glue because I just did it. Usually after the first time I use it, I don't have this problem. But sometimes when I use it the first time, I do get some adhesive that sticks. And so I just go in with an adhesive eraser and remove it. Now onto the technique portion. So this is just clean water. That's all I'm doing. I have a number 2 round brush. The one that I prefer is the Black Velvet line, but you certainly don't have to get this one. You could use any smaller round brush. I wouldn't recommend a flat just because it's easier to get into these rounder shapes with this shape of brush. And all I'm doing is adding water to it. And you can already see that we're getting that really pretty watercolor texture where the colors are starting to blend together and kind of bloom out, which I don't know about you, when I'm watercoloring, that's what I'm looking for. I want that super pretty washy look where you can tell that the pigment has movement. So I am going to speed this up before I get to the next way that you can add a little bit more dimension without the next step of this, one step up from this. So like I said, it is Father's Day weekend. We do have lots of plans. It's a packed weekend. So we are celebrating Eric's Father's Day today because tomorrow Peanut will be at his dad's. So today we are doing my side of the family's Father's Day. So we're going to do Eric's in the morning. I asked him what he wanted for Father's Day. He told me absolutely nothing. And that can't stand. So I was like, no, seriously, what do you want? And he was like, biscuits and gravy. So that's what I'm making for breakfast in the morning. When I get done doing this, I'm going to go downstairs and start with the breakfasts. And my husband says biscuits and gravy, but what he really means is biscuits and gravy and eggs and hash browns because he loved the breakfast food. Part of the reason why I married him. I don't understand people who don't like breakfast food. Back to the card. So here, what I'm doing is I'm doing the same thing. I'm adding water to it. But I've given myself a little palette of the same colors that I did my distress inking with. And then this is going to give me the opportunity to add even more color variation and depth of color by going in and wetting these areas and then picking up more pigment and adding it in. So we're going to have the colors that are moving together, which just like you can see on the left. And then we're going to start adding more pigment in so that there is even more variation. And this is the way I prefer to do it, this second way. I like having a little bit more control, darker colors and lighter colors. I think that it's super pretty that way. I like the other way too. And if you're looking for like some more shimmer or shine, you could do this same technique. and add in some like perfect pearls, or you could use a old like the clear glitter pens. They're just basically like water brushes. You can refill those with water and continue to use them, like, and it'll pull all of the glitters out and add shimmer that way. There's a lot of different ways that you could do it, but this is just to give you kind of like a jumping off point. And again, I am going to speed this up because we are doing two different cards with kind of the same idea. And don't be afraid to like mix your colors. Like in that one long one, I've got a little bit of purple at the top, a little bit of pink, and a little bit of yellow at the bottom. And like that's one of my favorite little swirls of this card. So yeah, so I'm making breakfast, and then my father also said that he didn't want anything for Father's Day. So my gift to him is I made him a German chocolate cake. Well, I made the filling and the cakes last night. I need to assemble them today, and I also need to make my chocolate frosting. But yeah, so that is his gift. And then from the kids, we did these cute little handprint, they're like wooden signs. So here's what happened. This is I think what always happens when you're kind of like a creative person, but you're on the cheap side. Not that I wouldn't have paid the money for either one of our parents. I would have, but I just thought we could do it better, I guess. So I was looking, Eric didn't know what to get his dad from the kids, and I obviously was making cake. So I went online and was looking, and one of the things that I saw, which was super cute, was like a personalized little wooden sign that had like a picture of the kids, and then it had their handprints. Well, as you guys know, if you watch my channel, we do furniture refinishing. So I was like, we could totally make this. Back to the card. So now we're switching. The other one is done. And so for this one, I'm just going to do the same thing, but I'm going to skip the first step. I'm just going to go straight into adding the water and then adding the pigment to shade it. You can get as simple or as crazy as you want with this. I obviously with the flowers, tried to stick to a more realistic coloring, but I'm going to be in the middle of story time and I'll try to point it out. But if you watch as we go, make sure that you're looking when I'm doing the middle one, because the one on the left will be done and will have the watercolored look, and the one on the right will still be stenciled, and you'll really be able to see the difference between the two, and how just adding a little bit of water can really just kind of make that image pop and give it a different look. So anyway, I lost my mind and I was like, yeah, we could totally make this. So I went to the craft store, and I knew my husband wouldn't have time to cut the wood. And we didn't have anything in our garage that was already the appropriate size. So I just went in and paid, I think they were like $4 each for these little wooden plaques. And they're just raw wood. Brought them home. Peanut and I sanded them, stained them. We tried to match the colors of their house. My parents' house is all still like the golden oak, which is what my dad likes. And then my in-laws is more of a darker wood. So we tried to match their decor. And then I asked Peanut what color he wanted to do his handprint. And he said he wanted to do navy because Grandpa T was a policeman. So his handprint is in navy. And then we did his in the garage, which I feel like was a mistake because it dried, I think, too fast. And then for Miss Caitlin, I did it's almost like a super pale, like lilac color. It's a lighter purple, but with a little bit of pink in it. Basically, I just sat down and mixed white, a lot of white with a little bit of pink and purple acrylic paint before I painted her hand. Getting a 7-month-old to put her hand down in an appropriate fashion for a handprint was next level challenging, and her handprint is a little squishy, but it's on there nonetheless. So that like our schedules are always crazy. Mine less so now because I am, working from home the majority of the time. but Eric's schedule is still wild. And so it was a very busy week for work and trying to accomplish things. And so last night, last night we were sitting on the couch. It was like 11:30, and I was like, "Hey, we never finished our dad's gifts." So here we are at like midnight weeding Cricut letters, because at the bottom we put like "We love you," Grandpa T, "We love you, Papa." And so we were doing that at like midnight last night, and then clear coating them. And then of course nothing's working the way that you want. I remember back in the day, like whatever, 2 months ago, that I had issues with my computer. Well, then my Cricut software was gone, so I had to reinstall that. It was in the basement because Eric was using it for a project, so we had to bring it upstairs. And then I was gonna put the kids' names on it, but they cut just way too thin and they were ripping, and I was like, forget it, nix it, we're moving on to the next. So we were able to get them done, which I'm very glad, and they did come out very cute. So hopefully they will appreciate that. Plus I'm putting my kids' pictures on them, and I know I'm biased, but I have cute kids. So that pretty much makes the gift. Yeah, so, and then tomorrow we are going to Eric's side of the family to celebrate Father's Day with them. So like I said, we just have like a totally jam-packed kind of weekend, which always feels just like it's the only 2 days in the week that he gets off of work, and I know that it's not going to be restful at all. So it makes me feel for him a little bit. Because when you have a little one, like, you're worried about nap time, you're worried about going to other people's houses and them getting into things. Now, fortunately, Caitlin isn't at that point yet. She's not crawling, but she is right on the cusp. Like, we're going to be just today, I got out one of those little foam, it's like the play mats would have the sides in them to keep her and her items kind of contained. So she has that now that we're able to utilize. I was reading something. I think I was looking for a seat, because like when Peanut was a baby, they had the boppy pillow that you could like kind of prop them up with, but then I think there was some sort of lawsuit or something and they stopped selling them, but I think they're back now. But so I was just looking for like some sort of seat, and I stumbled upon this thread, and the mom shaming is unreal out there in the world. I don't understand it. So here, this is all dry now, and I'm going to be stamping my sentiments. I really like the sentiments that came with this set, and I do plan on going back and possibly Copic coloring Scarlet. I think all those little folds and stuff would make for a really great tutorial on how to color that with Copic markers. So we'll have to see when we get to that. But these sentiments are just super cute and encouraging, and so I wanted to be able to utilize those. I'm just stamping this right here in the center, and then for the next one, I will be stamping it just kind of like off to the right. I also used the it's the plus though, Rainbow Sequin Plus, a day for rainbows, which has like a bunch of bits for shaker cards, which I think is so cute. But they also in there had black sequins. And so I just picked out a couple of those to kind of accent my sentiments. And then I like, I think she's up. Well, we almost made it all the way through. And that's just where we're living at right now. So, yeah, my child's 100% up. There's 2 minutes left of this voiceover. I'm going to try to get it done while I hold her. We'll see if she allows me to do that or not. So this is the A Day for Rainbows Sequin Plus mix, and I just picked some black sequins out of that. And then I really like to, I really like to add just like a dome of glossy accents on top so that I know that they're secure and it makes them extra shiny. And then that is it. That is both cards. So I hope that this kind of inspires you to kind of stretch your supplies and get a different kind of look from your stencils. Thank you guys so much for spending your time with me, and happy Father's Day to you or to your partners. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.